I'm Gina Pearson, I'm the Senior Manager for the STEPS Enablement Service. So STEPS stands for Short-Term Enablement and Planning Service, and it's a bit of what it says on the tin really. It's a re-ablement service, so it supports people for up to 6 weeks post-hospital, if they've gone to hospital where something's not been quite right and they've needed some support when they've come out of hospital to get them back to the level of independence that they were at before they went in, or if there's been a crisis where they've been at home and maybe their carer's gone into hospital and they're no longer able to care for them, or people's circumstances just change generally. So the service is there to provide a short-term support. So we have support workers, step workers who go out and work with the individuals to maximise their level of independence, get them to the level of activity that they aspire to have. So not everybody will be, dancing on the tables. It's about getting people to their optimum level of independence and helping them to be the best that they can be in the way that they want to be. A typical scenario of somebody being discharged from hospital would be maybe winter weather, slipped on the ice, fractured their arm or their leg. They will obviously need some support. They haven't got anybody at home that can help them. They haven't got willing neighbours, so the community may not be best placed to support them. So our staff will go out, have a discussion with the person about what help do they need. They'll have the conversation with the person that's referred them to us, and then with that information and knowing what we need to provide, the workers will go out and maybe 3 or 4 times a day work with that individual, give them some personal care. So they may go in, help them get out of bed, help them get washed and dressed, may help them to get their breakfast or whatever meal preparation or meal help they need. They may assist them with medication. It really depends on the nature of their illness or disability at the time, but generally it's a bit about personal care, it's a bit about mobility, sort of low-level physio tasks to make sure that they're building their strength up and recovering in a timely fashion. At the end of the 6 weeks or earlier, if we find that that person doesn't have potential to improve to the greater extent, they may need an ongoing package of care. So another provider may step in, and this is where we're looking to develop our own internal home care service, so that we transition them from our STEPS short-term service into an ongoing service. So that will be a referral back to social services that says this person now needs additional support and is going to need it on a long-term basis. So they'll have a review and a reassessment of those needs, and either an alternative provider outside of the council will provide that support, or with our new developing domiciliary arm, it may be our domiciliary arm that goes and supports them further. So we don't leave people at the end of 6 weeks with nothing. It really much depends on what their ongoing needs requires. The council currently has a framework agreement with external agencies, providers, to provide a certain level of care and support to people similar to what we do within our own services. There's been a problem with recruitment of people out in the community, so some agencies have struggled to recruit enough staff to deliver the level of care that they are required to provide. And also there's been a huge increase in demand on community services. So demand has outstripped the level of capacity that's actually out there to support those people. At the moment there are a significant amount of people who are either have been discharged from hospital whose families are currently looking after them but aren't going to be able to do so on a long-term basis, or they have had to go into residential or nursing placements temporarily because there isn't enough support to meet their needs at home. Our aim is to make sure that those people return home if that's their choice, and that they get the level of support that will enable them to remain at home in the way that they choose to live. So our point to develop our domiciliary service is absolutely to make sure that there aren't people who are left at risk with reduced or no packages of care when they've actually been assessed to do that. The council has a duty to provide support directly or indirectly once somebody has had their assessment and they have eligible needs. So the role of the STEPS service developing their domiciliary service is to make sure that the council is able to fulfil that duty of care. The council went out and sort of expressions of interest. They did what's called a soft market test to see whether there were any providers who wanted to develop further in the ability to provide additional domiciliary support. It has what it calls its family of businesses, so there are organisations who work very closely to fulfil the duties that the council holds. CORMAC was one of those organisations that were that had discussions around that issue and were very willing, and we're very pleased to say that they have agreed to help us to develop that arm of our service. The benefits of CORMAC overseeing the developments of STEPS and the domiciliary care arm is that CORMAC obviously is a well run business, and as a council, although we are very business minded, we don't have the necessary business acumen that CORMAC has, so we're going to be working very much in partnership with them to develop the business side of things. But also I think it allows us to be able to provide services to people in a different way than we would have been able to if we'd stayed within the council. So for example, people who have personal budgets, who have money from the council to purchase their own care, can't use that money with internal services. And similarly, people who don't go through the council to have their needs met but go to an agency directly wouldn't be able to come to us internally to say we would like STEPS to provide whatever it is that they require. Being under CORMAC, that will allow people to come directly to us, so it gives us the opportunity to provide more care to more people in the way that they choose and wish. There are quite a few challenges, I think, coming our way. Obviously it's a big upheaval for our workforce. We're doing a lot of consultation at the moment to reassure them that it's a good thing that we're moving into CORMAC, and staff are very positive about the changes that are happening. They have met with CORMAC management, and I think that the message that we're getting is they like what they see, and are very positive about that move. Obviously there are some issues that we need to work through around terms and conditions. At the moment we are transferring everybody on their current terms and conditions, but it's something that we'll be looking at going forward. As the services grow, what we are not sure about at this point is whether we're going to be able to attract enough new recruits to fulfil the requirements that we have to grow the service, but that's something that we'll be looking at, and recent recruitment actually suggests that there are people out there. But I think it also means within CORMAC they have a domestic service, and it may well be that we can start to develop the skills and the abilities of some of those domestic workers to join some of the work that they could help us with as well. So there are benefits there. Other challenges, generally from a worker perspective, that it's business as usual. They're still going to be working from the same bases, doing the same work. I think it's just about reassuring people more than anything. There are some challenges around budgets, obviously, because the budget is transferring in its current state. What we don't know going forward the next 6 months or into the next financial year is what that budget allocation will look like, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it and adapt accordingly.